Hello, welcome to the call, Lighten Up and Lose Weight for Life. That's the program, that's the call number one, the introduction, the call you're on. Hi, this is Philip Montrose with my wonderful wife and partner, Jane, actually the creator of the holistic approach to eating that we'll be introducing today. Jane?
Hi, welcome to the call. I'm really excited about this, so this is great. Welcome.
Right. This is something that's sort of been given birth for many years and developed and refined, as we will explain. And as some of you may know, we are our business, our practice, our specialty is holistic coaching and transformation. We're experts in the field with over 25 years of experience, and seems like what we are good at, our gifts are helping people find the core of the problem, the issue, and finding easy, very effective ways to transform whatever the issue is. And in this case, of course, it's weight, and we'll explore that, something that many people are facing. And it really started in particular with Jane on her own personal journey from childhood, which she's going to explain in a few minutes. So on today's call, the introduction to the full program, this is just the intro call, but we will give you a good overview and some very specific information that I think you will find quite helpful. So stay for the full call. And today is the newest version of the recently updated plan, the holistic approach to eating plan that Jane developed more than 20 years ago. And it's been expanded, and it's the start of this, what will follow a 5-week of 5-class audio course, and all will be recorded for those who are enrolled. They will get all the materials, plus a guidebook, a very detailed, easy-to-read, to-the-point guidebook, step-by-step, as the course will outline the audios as today again. And we're already excited about those who have joined early, who have already enrolled in the full program, and the feedback we've been receiving. Jane, did you want to just mention anything else about this? And by the way, this is for personal and professional development. It's part of Awakenings, our nonprofit institute, for those who want the personal development for holistic approach, and also how to help and serve others in that subject. Jane, did you want to add something here?
Yeah, it is a wonderful and actually very unique program. I haven't seen anything quite like it anywhere else. And you can use it for personal use, and if you are a holistic practitioner, if you've taken any of our programs or have learned skills from other people and are practicing professionally, this is a system that has, through time, proven to actually work very effectively. We've used it ourselves. It was one of the things that when I first started practicing, that I developed as a plan to use with clients, and it works really well. It's enlightening. Well, you'll hear more about it, and it's divided into a 4-week plan, so it makes a really nice course. Actually, if you are a professional, you can model it even after what we're teaching here in the weeks that we have. This is the introduction, and then we're going to have a preparation week and then 4 weeks of training. So a total of actually 6, including today. But on the plan, 5. So if you were doing a 5-week course, it's really effective and a wonderful way to connect with people.
Right. So if you're with the full course, you go step by step, and it is a program that's designed to customize, as we'll explain, very personally for you. It's not a cookie-cutter, one-size-fits-all approach, but it's something that really works. And it does have a track record, as we mentioned, over the years since Jane started it, and we've taught it to people. And some of our students have used it with other clients themselves for their own programs.
Right, and they've found it works too. So it's not just us.
Right. It's something that's duplicatable, and it'll be good, I believe, for everyone who's on the call can use it for themselves, and some people may want to use other people to help programs and so forth. One person who took the training, I'll quote her, she said, Lillian McIntyre, "I'm a veteran of seesaw weight problems of all kinds and have gone on a number of crash diets." Interesting, crash diets. This program wasn't like anything I'd done before. It was pure magic. Realistically, it's the most practical and inspiring way to take weight off. And
right, and that's a big key. It's this. We're not talking about actually a diet per se. It's a lifestyle change, so it can just flow through the rest of your life.
right, and the cost of being overweight and obese, which is they've estimated in the U.S. that maybe up to 70% of the people, is serious. I mean, physically, it's related to diabetes 2 types, joint problems, brain diseases, and more. It affects your self-esteem. And the good news is you can correct the problem. You can not only correct the problem temporarily, you can correct it permanently with the right tools, the right knowledge, and self-awareness of your own body, thoughts, and feelings. And we have this time-tested approach which will help you be what we call fit for success. Does that sound good? Because you do need energy to live fully and be able to trust yourself, right? You want to trust yourself and count on your body. And we're going to be talking about your body's wisdom, tapping into your body's wisdom. And by the way, a side note is we would encourage you to do this program if you can, and you'd like with a friend. Connect with someone to do this program with. We have a private Facebook group which you can join if you are part of the program too, to get questions and answers and find partners there too. And we'll tell you more about the details of that as we go forward here. You may want to take notes. It could help you with attention. The overview of today's call is some shocking facts about diets, 6 keys for optimal weight loss or getting your optimal weight, your most important decision, and we will do a little lighten up with EFT process as well. Jane, you want to go a little bit into your story and your background and how this all came to be?
Yeah, that's interesting. I've always been a pretty spiritual person, and when I look back over my life, this particular challenge has been very instrumental in my own development. I was what you'd call maybe a chubby child, and starting as a teen, I went on a variety of different diets for many, many years, the old seesaw diet approach. And I always loved food. And this is the thing. If you love food, that's great. You know, it's part of living, really enjoying food. It's part of the richness of life. And the problem is that it can become almost, like for me what it became was my reason for living almost. And I'll kind of explain that as I go along. But so I went, starting as a teen, like I said, I went on a variety of diets, and I lost weight and gained weight and lost weight and gained weight like a lot of people. And when I grew up, I became an architect, and it was very stressful. Life was busy, and it was good to a degree. I was not really doing what I was meant to do, as many people find in their adult lives. But behind it all, food became like my all-purpose solution for everything, anything that was wrong. You know, it was like if I was stressed, you know, I would have food. If I was in emotional turmoil, I would have food. If I was bored, fatigued, you know, even if I was thirsty, rather than thinking, well, have a glass of water, I would probably have a cookie or something, because it was just my all-purpose solution. And I did realize, because food became my all-purpose solution, I was living to eat, you know, not eating to live. And that's part of what we're talking about here, is putting it into the right perspective. I did want to mention also, statistically, and just what we've seen because we've explored a lot about human beings, you know, what makes us tick and everything, people who are more emotional tend to have weight issues more than people who are not as emotional. Some people, they just kind of can easily breeze through life because they're not feeling things so deeply.
Emotional eating.
Right. So if you have weight issues and you are emotional, also realize that's a gift. You know, it's a sensitivity. I was always a very sensitive person and still am. And that it's a good thing. But that being said, I'm never going to be, a weightlifter or that kind of person because I'm more of a feeling type of a person. So with what I was saying about being an architect and everything, I tried to go on diets, and the stress would always get the better of me. And, of course, the whole deprivation thing just didn't work for me and still doesn't. And it shouldn't be deprivation, and it shouldn't be suffering because that actually creates imbalances. As many of you probably know, it creates imbalances in your system that are actually detrimental to your health in a very big way. And I think Philip might be going into this more. We go into it a lot in our book. We have a new version, actually, that we just wrote of the holistic approach to eating. We call it the Lighten Up plan, not lighten up and lose weight for life, because it is really about lightening up on all levels. But anyhow, I got to the point where I decided, and this was, I remember just a few minutes ago, one of you mentioned, well, how important, I'm not sure how important is it to me, if I'm really motivated. And, of course, if you're thinking that you're going to be torturing yourself and being deprived, you're not going to be very motivated. But I did decide at a certain point that it was my time to change. I put off a lot of things in my life for many years when I was younger, and it was actually, for me, it was right around the time I turned 40 that I decided I had to not put off things anymore. I couldn't put off living, I would say, anymore. So as we were actually at that point, as Philip and I were studying and learning to become holistic professionals, which we have done over these 25 years now, I researched and developed this approach as part of my own journey too, that I found a way that actually worked and then started using it with clients. It was one of the first things that I did as a practitioner, was develop this program and then and worked with clients and taught it for classes, which was very effective too. So it was, like I said, very instrumental, and it addresses more than just weight, because it addresses who you are as a human being and loving and respecting yourself. It goes really deeply into life's journey. So I think that's one of the things that's really rewarding about it also, is that it helps you to love yourself the way that you are and to learn to put food in its right place. And I guess the first thing that kind of needs to be addressed is what's wrong with diets. I mean, it's really shocking when you understand what's happening with the diet industry. And I think, Philip, you have some statistics on
Right. Yeah, the shocking facts about diets chapter of the class here. Yo-yo diets, that's a good term, yo-yoing. Why? It's a short-term fix. It's something superficial. It's something that probably will have a short-term impact and shock your body like these shocking facts into losing weight. However, it doesn't last much after the diet if you even complete it, and then your body actually learns, because it's gone into starvation mode, to store weight, so it doesn't have to go through that traumatic experience of a diet again. That's why this is such a different approach. Let me give you just a few statistics about diets, weight, real quickly here. According to the Centers of Disease Control in the U.S., over the last 35 years, obesity rates have more than doubled, and it's getting worse. Childhood obesity has more than tripled. And, of course, if you're heavy when you're younger, then the chances of being heavier when you grow up is more. So in spite of the fact, however, that there are 100 million dieters who continue to support this failing weight loss industry, with billions spent in all kinds of things, bariatric surgery and so forth, it goes on and on. And the success rate is shockingly low, anywhere from about 5% down to 1%, depending on how you statistically look at it, about people who actually keep the weight off. Because if you're doing something that works in the short term, much of which may not even be that healthy or natural to you, as those who have dieted before know what I'm talking about. It doesn't hold because you can't keep it going afterwards, and that's the whole point of what we're doing here, which is different. It is something you can naturally do and return to and have going on for a lifetime. So it's a different lifestyle choice. It's a different approach. And the toll physically from dieting is it affects your metabolism, your well-being. Emotionally, there's a lot of anger and frustration and depression. Mentally, a lot of thoughts about being powerless and out of control, not only by being overweight, but this whole dieting thing. And then spiritually, feeling like you're a failure, that you're flawed, that something's wrong with you, which, of course, the truth is you are a wonderful spiritual being, regardless of your weight. It's not affected on your body, but why not align your body with that part of yourself, as we'll be talking about more in this program. Jane, did you want to insert anything here?
Yeah, I just wanted to, and I think probably I know we have a lot of people on the call who are very knowledgeable about these things, but just to make sure it's real clear is that if you are on a deprivation diet, it actually sets you up for failure because your metabolism is slowed, and often in a permanent way.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can't possibly keep the weight off. You just can't.
Right.
Because your metabolism has slowed. So the minute you actually go back to something that is close to, quote, normal,
mm-hmm.
then you just gain the weight back and maybe a lot more. So the deprivation diet, that whole thing is just completely flawed.
Right.
And that's why you need a real alternative, that brings everything into balance for you.
Balance is a good word there. And I want to cite some information, too, from researcher, psychology professor Tracy Martin about the biological changes of trying to diet. And 3 things here. 1, your brain's relationship to food changes because you become too focused on food. I mean, it's gone from one kind of mindless numbing out with food focus or lack of focus to just obsessive focusing on the dieting, which is unhealthy to your brain. Hormonally, you lose track of the hormones that are supposed to keep you hungry or full. That gets out of sync. Your hormones get out. And 3rd, your metabolism, as Jane says, slows down because your body thinks it's starving, famine, feast or famine. I'm famining. I better. The body thinks on a body level that I need to store fat because I'm not being fed, and that creates problems. And then there's the stress. The 4th thing really is a stress factor of trying to diet with all these changes going on. And all this, by the way, is cited in the guidebook that comes with the program, this program, Lighten Up and Lose Weight for Life, the guidebook that you get in the resource section, too, which I think you'll find very helpful to accompany you throughout this 5-week program.
Very comprehensive.
One other really important piece of information which you may or may not be aware of is something called the set point, your set point. You have a set point. Everyone has a set point, something researchers discovered in the 1980s. And what that means is that your body is genetically set to have a certain range of weight and temperature, and it's going to try to maintain that. Kind of like a thermostat. It's sometimes compared to a thermostat. It's set to this certain, whatever happens, it will be set. Now, in terms of your weight, whatever you've conditioned, and this is something that we believe is changeable. We found through this program it's changeable. So you go back to this probably overweight.
Boomerang.
Boomerang back to this overweight point. You lose weight, and then you keep going back to it, maybe even gaining some over time because of what we said.
Actually, can I add something? That reminds me of the woman who mentioned that she's not motivated.
Right.
We can go into that a little more too, because there can be something unconscious in you that is resisting the weight loss. And this happened to me, actually. That was one of the factors with me, is that there were, within that set point, was the desire to, when I would start losing weight, I would almost panic, and it took me quite a while to understand what was happening, but I would panic, and it was there were some unconscious things going on that I needed to work through and resolve, and then I could just easily and smoothly follow a plan like the one that we're talking about today.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something that really needs to be addressed if you have found that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that there's something very undescribable, you just don't know what it is behind all of it that's just driving you crazy.
Right.
And the plan, actually using EFT and all of the things that we do with the plan address that. So it does the set point. You can change your set point.
Right. That's the good news. Even though it needs to be done in an intentional, deliberate way, an effective way. Otherwise, with muscle testing, some people I know on the call are practitioners. They know how to muscle test your muscles for yes and no and responses. And people who are overweight will often test strong, positive for being overweight because they have this unconscious set point about being heavy. And the idea is you can change that through your body-mind connection, which we're going to go into. The whole program is about changing that on a deep level permanently so you're more in balance with your body's wisdom. I'd like to cite a personal trainer, Jill Coleman, said regarding this subject, the set point, that the solution is to stop traditional dieting and extreme exercise approaches. It is good to exercise way, but she's talking about extreme exercise, and find a way to eat and exercise you can do forever. So the idea is to follow a plan like the one we're sharing with you, or the introduction today, that you can stay with.
Right. And it is individual.
Yes,
I think that's another thing about it. That whole thing about one, the cookie cutter approach, like one diet works for everybody, it's actually not true. And that's another thing that can be very challenging if your body actually is needing something other than what maybe some expert is telling you it needs. And that's a real reason why people need to learn to connect with their own body's wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
A doctor can't heal anybody. Nobody can heal the body. The body can heal itself. And any kind of healing is designed to place the body in a position where it can, take care of itself.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is something that's kind of overlooked.
Right. Yeah, tragically overlooked. And we are going to share with you, starting today on this 6-week program from today, from this first class, awareness tools and clearing processes that can accelerate your progress. And many of them will be very easy to do. And if you're in the program and enrolled and going week to week, and also if you choose to have a partner, that will help more to apply this and use tools and awareness techniques.
Yeah.
So, what can you do about the dilemma?
Throw all those rules away.
Let's change the rules.
Yeah, everything that
you ready to change the rules
right.
so they work for you?
Yeah. And like we said, it's not a diet at all. It's certainly not a conventional diet. It's really a lifestyle change, and it focuses on lightening up on all levels, not just your weight. In fact, I think a good starting point is just taking a lighter look on life. When Philip was talking about metabolism and stress, one thing about stress is that it actually interferes with the body's ability to digest properly. And what we're wanting to do is place the body, obviously, in an optimal situation for being able to be its best. Because if you're here for a reason, which you are, and you want to really live, which I'm imagining you do, this is one of the things for me that really just struck me at a certain point. Like, I'm here to live. I'm not here to just kind of survive and make the best of this situation. It's really about living fully. You want all of your resources to be working at their optimal levels. So we're talking about, we use the term optimal body. We're not talking about the thin body or ideal body. I used the term ideal body at first, and when we redid the program, I thought, well, we're not talking about an ideal. That makes it sound like you're supposed to be perfect. It's really optimal. it's being the best you. And for someone like me, an emotional person, I'm never going to be a model type of a look, and I don't want to be. I want to be myself, and I want to feel good. So it starts with just really lightening up. That would be, I think that in the when Philip was introducing the call, on our website, he mentioned that there were 5 points, and really, even before starting, just lightening up your approach to life a little bit is very helpful. It's beneficial for you on all levels, and including actually being able to assimilate your food better than you may be otherwise. So it is, and this is something, if you're starting on the plan, this is a good place to start this week. We're still in the holidays, and enjoying New Year's Eve coming up very soon. So you want to focus on that, and at the same time, you can just think, well, for this new year, what can I do to just let go a little bit more, and maybe not worry about the things that I can't control, and focus on ways that I can think more positively and just feel better and be grateful. Be more in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
I discovered at a certain point a lot of the stress is just because of imagining something in the future or the past or somewhere completely that's irrelevant to what's happening right now. And the moment is usually so simple. So just taking a few breaths and focusing on the moment. So the first point is really just taking a lighter look at life, and we provide some tools for that in the book, and I'm sure that most of you have some already. As professionals, you probably have quite a few, and EFT is great also for this. And then Philip referred to this before, getting in touch with your body's own wisdom about what's right for you. You can call it your body's intelligence. I also connected just with connecting with the divine wisdom that exists on a body, mind, and even spirit level, that you can connect with what's true and right for you very easily with practice. And that it when you do that and you start listening to your body rather than trying to fulfill needs actually that are not related to your body, in other words, trying to fill your emotional needs with food, if you learn to start focusing on what your body really is telling you it wants, then you're getting on the right track. Because it does seem to be true that people with weight problems disconnect a lot of times from their bodies.
Mm-hmm.
I remember one student of ours telling me she felt like she was just a head, like she was aware of herself down to her neck, and that was because her body was so foreign to her. And this was a very emotional person. So it's not like body wisdom was not a natural thing for her. And so learning to connect with the body, it's very inspiring. And again, it develops things on a deeper level even than just related to food. We're developing a relationship with ourselves and loving ourselves too, just as we are. Because there is no reason why, as magnificent spiritual beings, we shouldn't just fully appreciate ourselves right now, regardless of our weight.
Right.
But getting in touch with the body is a key part. Another thing about that, and respecting yourself, learning when you love and respect yourself more, you don't want to put things in your body that are not good for it. It never occurred to me when I was younger. I was in pain. I think, like many people, I had a challenging childhood, and it just kept going. I'm very blessed to have the marriage and the relationship with Philip that I have, and many wonderful things in my life. But I did have a lot of challenges and a lot of blocks. I was a pretty wounded puppy, you might say, and many of us are. So when food becomes such a big part of our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so the third thing then is change your focus while eating. So we're going to explore the reasons why you eat and shift the focus from the the things that you do emotionally, the emotional and mental, even spiritual reasons why you might eat, to the solutions that will nurture your body and enjoy food too. Again, like I said, I love food, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. In fact, if you love food, it's a blessing. I mean, the colors and the tastes and smells and the whole experience with other people.
Mm-hmm.
We're not talking about deprivation in any way.
Right.
So, and it's interesting. One of the things that I found really surprising, actually, when I started learning about all of this, was people who are naturally thin. If you ask them why they eat,
right.
I was just shocked by the answer. And Philip is actually a good example. If you ask him why he eat, he'll say, "Well, I eat when I'm hungry." You know, it's kind of like, what is this, a trick question?
Now, what
for me, that wasn't the way it was for me.
Right.
You know, I would eat for all kinds of reasons, and I don't know if hunger was really involved all that much. I mean, I had so many other reasons for eating. I probably was rarely actually hungry.
Yeah, if you're not even hungry when you're eating, then that wouldn't be one of the reasons.
Right. I can even remember telling Philip sometimes, I don't know if you remember this or not, but I would say, "Well, it's time to eat," and you might say, "Well, I'm really not hungry," and I said, "Well, you really should eat something, though, because you might get hungry later." It's so funny. We're so funny.
When I'm hungry, when it later comes.
Right.
You know.
So then the fourth thing is developing new responses to the temptations in your environment. So we'll explore, the things that are out there, like how an important thing is how a person's family relates to food. For some families, food is love, and if you say, "Well, I don't want this food," then you're telling them that you don't love them. So there are a lot of things like that. Or even in the office, I remember there would be cookies and donuts and muffins and things, and not eating them people would look at you like, "What do you mean you're not going to have a muffin?" Well, "Oh, sure, okay, I'll have a muffin." I'm not hungry, but I'll have one. Or just habitual reasons. So we'll explore those. And then the habits that are sabotaging your success, going into the past. Because a lot of our programming started when we were very young. Like many children, I was one of the children who had the clean plate program. I was taught, you have to clean your plate. And I did that religiously, really, until I got to that point of developing this program. And before that, just realizing, well, is it actually better if there's food left on my plate for me to just eat it because it's there, even though it's actually going to make me feel bad, or just leave it on the plate? So really more awareness in that area. And we've developed some EFT processes specifically related to the processes that we're going through. And those help a lot in terms of the set point, too, changing that set point.
Right.
And then focusing on long-term success. Because what you're doing is just, you're sorting things out, becoming aware, okay, so these are the things I do to nurture my body. And then these other things, these emotional needs. The need for a break. I fulfill that by going out and taking a breath of fresh air instead of eating more food. Just sorting it all out and putting things in their proper place. And then it just becomes natural to gravitate towards what your body wants to eat, which is not what maybe you emotionally would want to eat. And it all just works together harmoniously, and the weight just melts off. And then you can maintain that for life. And there are some specific things that we do for awareness that facilitate that too. So, like I said, it's a well-developed plan. We've been doing it for years. It works. And
yeah, it's a great, elegant plan. It's very effective. It's step by step, and it really is in line with the new genetics, like epigenetics, like how you can control your life and your gene expressions. Your body's listening to what you're saying and thinking and doing, and science is showing that more and more. And this holistic approach to eating program you're in now will help you do what science is saying is quite possible, to control your destiny, to control your genes by your thoughts and feelings, direct your life.
Right. Yeah.
So I know some people are already enrolled in the full Lighten Up and Lose Weight for Life program. If, in case you're not, just an overview is you're going to get the 6 audios, the downloads of the classes for your permanent access, the step-by-step system, and the guidebook, which is extremely guidebook is in your Lightening Up. And there's some bonuses. We have a special report on the holistic approach to living healthier longer, which is some key research and information on not only eating and some of the data supporting what we're talking about, but also living a longer, fuller life, healthier life.
Right. And
the Facebook group, so you can partner up and have questions too. So anyways, you go to a shortened URL to go there. If you want to go there now, is tinyurl.com/lightning45, like tinyurl.com, lightning45, like lightning up, lightning 45. Okay, so now we are at, do we want to bring in maybe someone who's taken the program already and kind of share a little bit? Jane, for a moment, do we have a moment here or not?
Sure, I would think.
Yeah, because if Gerald Ann, I think, is there, because I know she's already been on the program and for herself, and it's been very effective for her, and she shared it. Gerald Ann, are you there?
Okay, yeah. Well, as you know, I've lost over 70 pounds now. And I'm taking the course again because, I'm taking this particular course. I had read Jane's book when I joined the life coaching course, and that was one of the supplemental, books that you had for us to go ahead and look at. So I had pulled it down and and was reading it, and between that book and then the course itself, working with my reasons why I ate. I'm like Jane, what really hit me in all of this today is my big thing was, and still continues to be at times, is I don't eat because I'm hungry. I eat because I have a void, and I have to fill that void. And even though I've lost weight, what I have found is that just losing the weight doesn't make me happy. It's don't get me wrong, I feel really good about how I look and everything else. But in turn, there are still some of those wounded parts of myself from my childhood, from my adulthood, and different things that are still cropping up, and that I want to eat for. So this was really important for me to learn why I was eating. Was I bored? Was I depressed? Was I angry? I mean, the gamut is wide as to why we eat. I could fill out pages as to why I eat, and none of them had anything to do with hunger.
Yeah, I know. It's really amazing when you become more aware of it. Yeah.
Right, and it's and I loved that I started getting in touch with that and keeping a diary and really paying attention as to why was I eating, and it also helped me to uncover a lot of those wounded parts of myself that I was just numbing out. It's not always comfortable, but it's well worth it to go through it. And what I'm finding now is, now that I'm thin, the thing that's coming up for me, and I'm a sexual abuse survivor, is attention, unwanted attention. And I put on a lot of weight so that people wouldn't approach me, men in particular. And so now that
you could say that's related, like the set point idea. These are the kinds of things that create, there's something there, and person might not even know about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm kind of in a struggle.
You can't possibly lose it. Lose the weight.
Yeah. So here I am again, and I'm figuring now, see, before I kind of did it with the book, and I did it, of course, with my classmates, but never with the intent of actually losing the weight in that sense. Now I'm where I want to be weight-wise, but now all of these other reasons that I wasn't even aware of as far as attention and that are coming up. So I'm truly looking forward to taking this course in a very supportive environment, because this is direct and targeted. In the life coach class, I was all over the place. There were so many things other than my weight I was dealing with, but this is very specific to my issue. But it's been life-changing for me. It really has been. So I'm back in to make sure that I can maintain this and even, quite honestly, adjust it a little bit, because there has been, with addiction issues, there has been a little bit of deprivation because of my fear of, with sugar or whatever, going overboard. So I think is going to help me find a balance that I hadn't struck before. So
and that kind of really goes to that point I made earlier also, that when you really get down to it, this is much more than about weight.
Right.
It really is a very enlightening program, also in a very positive way that is supportive of, just being yourself.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I really am. I'm seeing that this is going to help me make those final adjustments and to have that lifelong lack of struggle for the rest of my life that I've had. I'm 58, and I've struggled with weight my entire life. I don't remember a time. I'm like you. I was chubby. I wore chubbies. I remember they had chubbies, when I was young. That's what they called them. And I've been up and down and up and down and up and down in my weight my whole life. So to me, it's exciting to think that the whole lifestyle change this is going to be something that I can maintain for the rest of my life and deal with the issues that kept me packing the weight back on. When I would get like this, then I'd ultimately, gain the weight back over time when I got too uncomfortable. So, thank you. I'm very grateful.
Thanks for sharing, Geraldine. We're glad to have you as part of the program. That's great.
Thank you.
And then the point comes up that regardless of how great the plan is, it can't possibly work for you without this other critical piece being there.
The critical thing.
And we've learned a lot as coaches. We started actually in our work focusing more on healing, and then realized that coaching was an important element. Mm-hmm. You couldn't really have a complete picture without having the coaching element, and we include a lot of these coaching elements with the plan so that to enhance success. And so this is a really important point.
Right, and as Geraldine was saying, it is a journey here, so there's different phases, but this is really perhaps the most important key to your success getting started. And it's this, your decision to commit, that 6-letter word. Okay. So that's the big one, the commitment. And part of what we've already explained is maybe hesitancy to commit and the trying it before and not having the right plan or the right situation or doing it too externally. And this is a holistic approach. There's a famous quote by Johann Goethe, the German poet, said, "The moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. All sorts of things occur to help one that would never otherwise have occurred. A whole stream of events issues from the decision which no man or woman could have dreamed would have come his or her way. Whatever you can do or dream you can do, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic. Begin it now." Decision to commit. That's the big one. One of our associates, Craig, I remember him, he worked a lot with people with addictions, mostly smoking addictions. And by the way, scientists have now found that food is a very similar addiction to smoking, gambling, drug abuse, all kinds of addictions, because it affects the brain in the same parts of the brain as those other addictions do, the dopamine reward centers of getting rewards and eating more and more of the addiction, food, gambling, drugs, cigarettes, etc., with less and less satisfaction. But anyways, what Craig, the coach, did, he would ask the initial client, the person who was considering being coached, he would ask, how committed are you to succeeding? 1 out of 10, 10 being total. And if the number wasn't at least 8, and more likely 9 or 10, then he refused to work with the person because he knew. And another, actually, associate, another coach.
But the funny thing, and this was something I think that got us really thinking more about this too, is he would say, well, when your commitment's around a 9 or 10 out of 10, give me a call, and that would be the end of it.
Back.
And I thought, well, I'm not so willing to give up on people that way.
Right.
It's like you can't expect necessarily that that they're going to know how to develop the commitment. So that's where this comes in for us, is that we really went further with it and found out how you can help a person to become committed.
Right, because we were going to keep going and find out how to help people become committed, which is partly what we're sharing
motivated.
here.
We're talking about motivation
to
here.
Help you commit yourself to yourself and your optimal body and your optimal weight. One exercise we do, and you could do this right now or just note it and go back and listen to the recording, or you can go to the guidebook in the resource section for the course. We call it the why exercise, and very simply, on a piece of paper, you write on one side why you want to lighten up. And it could be physical things to fit into your clothes better, to have more energy, etc.
Feel better about yourself.
Feel better about yourself, and you have that list.
Reduce your addictive tendencies, just all the things that are really actually very important to people.
Yeah, stop numbing out, etc. And also being prone to diseases or having diseases or being on that path, etc. So being healthier. And then on the right column, the other side of your paper, say in 6 months, if you don't do anything, in other words, say you listen to this call and you don't go further, or you don't, stay where you are, you don't take action,
and
you don't
say, like,
follow.
Maybe next year.
Maybe next time.
That's the other thing.
Yeah, maybe later. So, so look at what will happen then if you are where you are now 6 months, a year from now.
Yeah, how are you going to feel?
Nothing's changed. You haven't taken action. You haven't made the commitment, as Johann Goethe said, to open up the possibilities. So there's your choice, and it's totally up to you. And it's fine if you don't want to do anything. You're still a beautiful spiritual being, but this is an opportunity to go forward and make the most of your life, we really think, at this moment in time, which is why you're probably listening to this. Right.
And for people, our coaching students and people who work with other people, this is a very nice, simple exercise that is very effective. Mm-hmm. I realized at a certain point, every time when I have succeeded with a major change, like really losing weight, when I actually did it and kept it off and developed this program, I did something like this. And this is something that I've done over the years many times. Just write down all the reasons why I want it and how I'm going to feel if I don't get it. And then I'm motivated because I think, oh, no, I can't wait another 6 months.
Right.
And so that's a very helpful, just very simple and helpful.
The hourglass
thing.
of time, something shocks you. It might just be taking this course into, we have a certain amount of hours here on Earth to spend as best as we can, and the hourglass is going away, and we can live fully and have a tremendous, long, healthy life or not. And I want to share with you also,
and move on.
And move on, like grow
people often, if you think of weight issues, you think, well, I just want to get through this and move on. I don't want to be focusing on what I'm eating, all the time for the rest of my life.
Right. It's going to help you with other goals and moving on to other things you want to accomplish. It will go across all areas of your life, your relationships, your business,
self-respect.
Self-respect,
Yeah.
And so. What we outline in the guidebook, the Lighten Up guidebook that comes with the course, are 6 steps to clarity, commitment, and success that I want to briefly touch on here, of where you are in the process, somewhere in this process, and the course, the program will take you through this if you follow it. You start with a lack of clarity, kind of being stuck and wavering, not sure how to go forward with your dreams and goals of an optimal weight and a better version of you, shall we say. And that's step one. And that moves into confusion, like, okay, I'm beginning to move forward. You may be just sort of on this call and say, now I'm kind of starting to go forward, but I'm really rather confused because I'm not sure how to do it. A lot of uncertainty there, too. And that's normal, and that's actually progress, because if you go through that and stay with it, you will get to that commitment stage that we've been talking about, where you're going to do it regardless. You're going to go forward. You're going to figure out a way. And because of this plan, in other words, you've done this perhaps in other diets, but because of what we talked about, it's understandable why they didn't work, and we explain that. But this one really does, because it's a lifestyle change. You're working with the wisdom of your body, not what an expert tells you is the best thing to do in some imposed external diet that you can only follow for so long, if you can even do it, and then you bounce back to where you were or even heavier. So commitment to something that works to you, the better you, the greater you, the more wonderful you, the optimal body, the optimal weight. Stage 4, after commitment, you have belief. You believe more in yourself and your possibilities and your success. And 5 comes with the certainty. Now you really know this is going to happen, and that's why there's different levels to it. And Jane has gone through that, and Gerald Ann, who spoke earlier, is you get to a certain level, and Gerald Ann mentioned she lost over 70 pounds, and yet she's at another level to it. Even though her weight is in good shape, she wants to understand other dimensions of things. So you will gain certainty.
They get deeper,
in other
which
areas
is
and
beautiful.
go deeper.
Yeah.
And there's success, and as I said, there's different levels of that. But you will, when the weight starts disappearing and dissolving and shedding the extra pounds organically, holistically, in a way you can maintain for life. And if you lapse, you can go back easily. Success, the thrill of victory. Step 6, from lack of clarity to confusion, commitment, belief, certainty, and success. So that will help you be on purpose, the why of the program here. So Jane, why don't we go now into that little lightening up exercise with the EFT, the tapping technique.
Okay. We have a whole lot of different EFT techniques we're going to be using that are going to go into deeper areas as we progress with the plan. For today, I wanted to start with something that's just lightening up. And EFT, you can use it with affirmations, which is what we're going to be doing here. And this isn't the kind of thing that's going to clear the deeper issues, but it does. What it does is it lightens up your perspective. It's like a little tune-up, you could say, and it's weight focused. So I'm going to go through this with you. You could say it's kind of like continuous tapping, which is where you just keep tapping as you talk about things. Mm-hmm. And I have a little script I'm going to use, which we'll also put on the website if you want to use it for a tune-up.
On the resource page for the course.
Yeah, for the
program.
course.
Mm-hmm.
And you can use this one. You can make up your own things that you want to say to yourself and just go through a few rounds of tapping while you're doing it. If you don't know EFT, just to get you started, you're going to be tapping on certain points on the body. Fortunately, EFT, you don't have to be perfect with it for it to be effective. So I'm just going to kind of describe the points as we go through it, and just do your best to get close to them. In the book, actually, the Lighten Up book, it shows where the points are and describes more about how to do it if you haven't done it. But you just tap lightly 5 to 10 times on each point, enough to send some energy through your system, but not enough you don't want to be hurting yourself. Tap yourself silly. And then Philip, you can just respond to each one. Okay. Okay. And we might want to just start. EFT starts usually with an affirmation. You can tap on the side of your hand. It's the side away from your thumb. Just start tapping continuously. And we can just start, even though I have some challenges, I know that I can lighten up.
I know.
Even though I have some challenges, I know I can lighten up.
Even though I
have some challenges, I know I can lighten up. I feel lighter already.
That's
good.
Rapidly.
Okay, so now you tap on the top of your head and say, "I'm ready for a change."
I'm ready for a change.
And for people who are listening, if you say it out loud, it can be more effective. Just say, "I'm ready for a change," and then on your brow, and I'm sensing that lightening up.
And I'm sensing
that inside of your eye may be much easier than I might imagine.
Maybe much easier.
Below the eye, I'm feeling more and more ease about my body.
I'm feeling more and more.
Below your nose, and I'm inspired to treat my body and my entire being.
And I'm inspired to treat my body and my entire.
On your chin, the indent in your chin, with the respect I deserve.
With the
collarbone, it's right towards the center of your chest. I feel lighter already.
I feel
on the side of the body, and with this lightness,
and with this
back to the top of your head, I sense that my metabolism is receiving a pleasant boost.
I sense
back to the brow, and as my ability to enjoy nutritious foods,
and as my ability to enjoy nutrition
side of the eye is coming into harmony with the wisdom of my body.
Is coming into harmony.
Below the eye, I'm feeling more and more committed to being my best.
I'm feeling
below the nose, what a relief.
What
a chin, I found my way.
I found my way.
Collarbone, I'm ready to lighten up.
Ready to lighten.
Side of the body and reach my full potential.
And reach my full.
And hug yourself. And then we end with what we call the reset process. So you just tap continuously, very lightly, with your whole hand on the top of your head so you're touching both sides. Take a nice deep breath and just say, letting go.
Letting go.
As you take a beautiful breath, and then end in your heart, which is the center of your being, tapping lightly on your heart. Again, taking another nice breath and embracing the truth. And that's where we want to end, is in the heart. Yeah. So like Philip said, we'll put this on the resource page, and you can use it for a little tune-up.
Mm-hmm.
Affirmations, just saying positive things to yourself actually is a very nice, a nice treat on all levels. Yeah.
So we're getting close to the end of this first call.
And before you
yes.
finish, I did want to mention kind of about getting oriented this week. Of course, enjoy your holiday if you're enrolled or going to enroll. And then you can also start with the first part of the book, which really is just about lightening up your perspective on life, which is a wonderful, almost New Year's resolution at this point. And just enjoy it. Do the why exercise. That you'll find that probably pretty effective. If you haven't done that kind of thing before, you might be surprised in terms of how much it changes your motivation when you clarify, because you're clarifying what you really want. And then we'll be back together again next week. So, and of course you can read the whole book just to get started if you have time. But the main thing right now is just to start with part 1. There are 4 parts in the book, and the first part is the background and just kind of getting through that commitment process and lightening up a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's enjoyable. I mean, it's the whole thing is designed to be enjoyable.
It's step by step. It's straightforward. It's rather easy to follow. And you're committing to your optimal body and weight. You're doing a wonderful, loving thing to yourself and those in your life by being your best and taking care of this and getting in balance and resetting your point.
Yeah. That's another thing, I think, especially probably for women. Men might have it too, though, is often with families and so many things going on, we think, well, I just don't have time for myself.
Right.
And I think it's important to realize the best thing you can do for everyone in your life is to make the most of yourself.
Right.
And that doesn't mean, obviously, ignore other people or anything, but I think that you probably understand what I'm saying. We sacrifice. We sacrifice ourselves for families and things. And then one thing I realized I suffered from earlier in my life was I had a mother who sacrificed herself and it didn't give me a positive model of a fulfilled woman, which was so important for me.
Right.
So that's something to remember if you think, well, gee, I have all these obligations to others. When you decide, when you make that decision, somehow it's kind of like the waters part, and the path opens up for you and it all works out. That's what I found when I finally decided I would do that.
Right. Yeah, because when you're hesitating and in that lack of resolved place, it's just like there's always these problems and obstacles and really get going. But once you determine to get going, and that's the key. That's this big starting point. So what's included in the Lighten Up and Lose Weight for Life program? Well, there's quite a bit. This is the intro to it to give you kind of a sense and an overview of it. And there's 5 more targeted training calls that are all recorded for people who are enrolled in the full program. And the program will be each week, and we're going to provide specific painless steps you can take to lighten up, easier steps.
Suffering is not allowed.
Suffering, is not an option.
Right, it's not an option.
You're going to shift from patterns of eating to feed, and nurture your body. You're going to connect with your body's innate intelligence to guide you, and that's something you'll keep going for life, which is tremendous. Once you get that, you probably have some sense of it, but maybe not too much, depending on where you're at. But you'll have a very clear sense of it if you follow this program. You also,
which feels to me very wonderful to have that. It was something I didn't have when I grew up, but it just feels very nurturing to be able to understand my body. It makes so much sense. It may seem obvious to some people, but it wasn't to me.
No, it's empowering and liberating to connect with your body's wisdom.
Right.
We will also, in the program, you'll also learn to explore ways to meet your emotional, mental, and spiritual needs that don't involve food. We'll give you other natural, enjoyable ways to solve that. And we'll do some more targeted process with EFT, some other visualizations for releasing blocks that are in your way, and you're going to learn the keys for maintaining this for life. And the classes, this was the first overview class. The next class is in the preparation phase, then the third class on the observation of yourself, the first key to your success. The fourth session will be breaking through old habits. The fifth session will be changing your eating patterns. And the sixth step will be dealing with childhood eating patterns and staying light for life. And plus are the bonuses I mentioned, the holistic approach to living healthier longer, special report with a lot of important pieces of that, and the private Facebook group you can join part of the program. You're going to have a step-by-step approach you can follow with us and part of this Lighten Up community, and getting partners if you choose to. So you're going to replace bad dietary habits with good ones and do it in a natural, organic way that's just right for you, because you're going to work with your body, not against it. And by using your body's wisdom, you're going to feel and look better. You'll be more on purpose to have these goals and do better in all areas of your life. A year. So whenever you're listening to this, even if it's a great year with this. So if you don't choose to do the program, that's fine, but just realize that you are going to kind of stay where you are. And unfortunately, the bad news is with aging and everything, things may get worse. That's just a fact, because obesity is now considered an inflammatory disease. It's linked to really a lot of conditions. You may know type 2 diabetes, joint problems, brain diseases like Alzheimer's, and more. But if you want to choose to connect and realize your optimal body and weight, enrolling in this Lighten Up and Losing Weight for Life program, you're going to get tools, knowledge, guidance, and support you need to succeed. It's really a small investment. I know many people are already enrolled for your well-being and energy, and you will be experiencing your optimal body, and you'll be committed. This will be a statement, a commitment to the best you, and to yourself and to those around you, to those you help, you serve, people who are connected to your friends and family. Jane, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, actually, in relation to families, it can be great just to train your children so that they're aware of their body's needs, earlier in life. I think it's a very valuable skill to have.
Right.
Yeah. So it has a lot of benefits, and I think the next year it's going to be a great year. I'm looking forward to it, and wish everybody a wonderful new year.
Yes, it's going to be a great year, and it's great to work with people, wonderful people in the program, and we wish you the best, wherever you are on your journey, program or elsewhere. So, Jane, anything else in closing here?
We may have said it all.
Okay, so that would be a good closing point. And again, the page for the enrollment, if you're not already enrolled, is the shortened URL is tinyurl.com/lightning45. tinyurl.com/lightning45. It's been great being with everyone. We look forward to connecting with you further and having a great year together.
So Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year. Have a great one.
Bye-bye.